Hey, my name is Josh Freeman, and thanks for watching this. And super excited about a new series that I'm going to do in leadership, and specifically about building culture. And today we're going to kind of intro into that series, and I'll do a video every other week and a blog every week that kind of doesn't have to do with this one, but a different subject or in a different area. But anyways, so this vlog series is about building culture, and today we're going to talk about what culture is in your organization and how important it is. And so whether you're an organization, a nonprofit, a church, a school, a business, anything at all, anything that's organized and kind of has a team structure, you have a culture. Whether you like it or not, you have a culture. That's the way society works. And so your culture can be intentionally thought out and led, but the question is have you done that, and what is your culture? And so we're going to look at what culture is, why it's so important, and how we can kind of shape what culture that we want to communicate to our consumers and our attendees and whoever is following us. And so culture is defined as underlying beliefs. I'm going to write this up here. Belief. This is key point. Belief, assumptions, values. That's another key part. Values and ways of interacting that contribute to the unique social and psychological environment of an organization. So the bottom line is, and it's a big definition for two key points that we need to pull out, and that's our belief and our values. And so these two key points is what shapes your culture. It is what your culture is. And so it's important that what you believe and your values follow what you believe. And so your belief is going to be everything, like the why you do it. Everything that your organization does is because of the belief. So your belief is actually your why. It's why you do what you do in your organization. It's why you sell what you sell. It's why you have a church. It's the people you try to attract in different circumstances, whatever it is. Your belief is your why. And then your values is how that why comes about. It's your how. Values are your how. And the cool thing is your beliefs are the most important thing, so everything kind of stems down from that. So your values are going to follow what you believe. It's going to be kind of a mark. People are going to be able to say, this is what they do, and based on what they do, this is what they believe. And so people want to follow your why. They don't want to follow what you do. They want to follow why you do it. So this is an important thing in building a culture. And so and building a culture, first of all, we got to figure out why it's so important. Well, the important thing is culture influences everything in your organization. And that's going to start from your leadership team down to your volunteers or your employees or whatever it is. Your culture is going to influence all of that. So whether you like it or not, your culture is influencing that right now. It's just a question of how it's influencing it. And is it influencing it the way that you want it to be influenced? And so the biggest thing right now is building an intentional culture. And so an intentional mindset in building a culture will transform the way you operate as an organization and as a team and as a business. The way that you're intentional about building your culture will transform everything that your team does, the way your team operates, and all of it. And so culture is a big piece into what you're doing or what you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it. And so your culture is already infused into what your organization is and how they do it right now. But is it intentional? Is it what you want it to be? And does everybody have the same mindset about it? And are you building a healthy culture? Are you building a negative culture? And what is a positive culture? What does that look like? And it all comes based off back to what you believe in your values. And so the biggest thing right now is figuring out what your belief is and what your values are. What's your why and how are you doing that? And so the cool thing, I love this. Publix is a grocery store in the South. Florida especially is kind of where it's grown. I think it's up into Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, in that area, but it's pretty southern still. But they communicate this awesome message. You know what their why is immediately when you look at their store or anything, in their commercials, any ad, whatever it is, their Publix, and then why they have Publix is exactly what is stated. And so Publix is where shopping is a pleasure. And so their why and why they do grocery shopping and provide these products for us, and they put them in this store, and the reason they have their store is so you can have a pleasurable time shopping. And so you see their belief right away. You see why they do what they do. They want your shopping experience because everybody needs to. They want it to be a pleasure. They want it to be a good time. And if you've ever been in a Publix, I think they do a wonderful and amazing job at it. You can tell that their leadership team has built an incredible culture that is infused all the way from the executive leadership down to the everyday employee, and that it infuses into the consumer that comes into the store. And that is a healthy culture. And so the cool thing is that we can kind of gauge what our values are. So if our belief is our why, then our how should match what we believe. It should be how we're getting to our why. And so when people say, oh, they do this and they do that, it should be pointing to, oh, they do that because we believe this. You see what I'm saying? So the biggest thing is they say, Publix says when shopping, where shopping is a pleasure. So their why is to have a pleasurable time, a pleasurable experience when you come into Publix. They don't communicate that they want you to have a speedy time. It's not a fast, quick environment that they're trying to communicate here. And so if one of their values is to have the fastest checkout lines and the fastest service, then they've failed. And their values don't match up with their belief. And then if their belief, or if maybe one of their values was to be the cheapest around, then they failed at that as well, because that's not what they're experiencing, that's not what they're selling. And so their belief and their values play together. And so the question is, you may have a belief now. You may have your why, but is your values and how you're getting there, do they correlate? Do they match up? Are they off kiltered? Are they, they have to be all in the same place, because if they're not, your organization is just, it's going to fail. It's not going to lead in a great direction like you want it to. And so your belief and your values are huge. And so you have to make sure and ask that question, is your organization, do they have the beliefs and values in the right places? Are they meeting the same goals? If not, then you need to get rid of them, and you need to infuse that into your entire culture. And so the biggest questions that we're going to, I need you to ask yourself today is, what do you believe as an organization? What do you believe as an organization? This is huge. Your why you do what you do is the most important thing, because people would rather follow why you do something than how you do it or what you do it for. It's all about the why, your belief. So what does your organization believe? And maybe right now that's a hard question to answer. And the other best way to figure this out is to ask maybe another employee what they think that is, or maybe another or a consumer or attendee of some sort, what they think your organization's belief is. Because if they can't communicate the same thing, then you've done a poor job at creating a culture with that belief. So what does your culture believe? And then what do you want people to know you believe? So what do you want your culture to actually believe, and for people to notice that? And so if it's not what you, if what you believe is not what everybody believes, then you got to figure out how you can infuse that into your culture, into where everybody believes that, so that when they say Publix, they know where shopping is a pleasure immediately. And when they say your organization's name, they know exactly what you believe. And that starts from the executive leadership down to your employees or volunteers or attendees, and to your consumers, attendees, stakeholders, whatever it is. And so that's the first questions that you need to ask yourself. And then the other ones are what are your values? What's your how? How are you getting there? And then, is my values aligning with my belief and my why? Do they match? Am I trying to accomplish too much with my values than what I actually believe and want to show people and want people to experience when they come into my organization? And so what do you want your values to be? Maybe they're not where they're at. Maybe you need reshaping. Now's the time to figure out exactly what those values are. And so now, once you as a leader of your organization can figure out what you believe and what you want your organization to believe, and why you do what you do, and you figure out your values and how you get there, now comes the big point into infusing this into a full culture, because culture is all about people. It's all about your team around you. Your organization needs these people. And so the biggest piece is not just what you believe or what your product or brand is. The biggest piece is that the people in your culture, in your organization, believe the same thing, have the same values, and then that's going to influence and integrate into your consumers and your attendees. So this can't be understated how important it is. And so the next video that we'll do is going to be about vision and how vision can kickstart your journey to building a great culture for your organization. This is huge. And so some of you may have a culture that you just don't like right now, but there's hope because you can always change the culture. It's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more gritty, but there is hope that you can get the culture to where you want it to be by making an intentional mindset and intentional changes to move it forward to where you want it. And then if this is before you've even started your church or organization or your business, guess what? You're in the best circumstance possible, because now all you'd have to do is figure out your why and your values, and you can start from scratch and immediately infuse it into your organization and into your culture so it never has a chance to get bad. So this is a great time and a very important thing that you need to start thinking through and figuring out, how do we want to do this, and why do I do it? Why do I do what I do, and how do I get there? Those are the big points, and so I'm excited to continue on with this. Hope you enjoyed it.